Picardo. Come and join us. Firstly, I would like to thank the Yes campaign for asking me to speak at this event. I have not aired my views on this subject publicly until now, but I know the organizers have always known how I feel. And secondly, I would like to congratulate you. I would like to congratulate you for organizing such a great campaign. I would like to congratulate you for organizing such a respectful campaign, for not personalizing this campaign, for sticking to the facts, and for the support you are showing all women by fighting for their rights. Because I genuinely believe that we are at a crossroad in this history of the small nation of ours. We have the opportunity to make a difference, to vote on something meaningful that will hopefully improve the lives of generations of women to come. But in order to know and to come to a decision on how to vote, we need to understand what we are voting for. So let's start with the semantics. Pro-choice versus pro-life. Being pro-choice does not mean you are pro-abortion. I do not think there is anyone here who is pro-abortion. I do not know of any woman who has ever aspired to have an abortion. It is not something we ever wish to have to choose. But we must understand that it can become a necessity for a number of women who find themselves in certain unfortunate situations. Being pro-choice does not mean you are not pro-life. I believe that those who call themselves pro-life are actually not more pro-life than I am. They are just anti-choice. And I cannot bring myself to call them pro-life, because that terminology means that if you're not pro-life, then you must be anti-life. And I am sure you will agree, none of us fall into that category. So there can only be two factions in this referendum: those who are pro-choice and those who are anti-choice. And that is what this referendum is about. It is about whether we should trust a woman with the freedom to choose when to have a baby. It is about whether we should trust a woman with the freedom to choose for herself, with all the information and support at her disposal, what to do with her body. And it is about whether we should trust a woman with the freedom to choose what to do with her life. You see, this referendum is not about us advocating that all women should have abortions. I strongly believe that if you don't want or need an abortion, then don't have one. This is a campaign to ensure that women who get pregnant under unfortunate circumstances get the proper and safe treatment of their choice. And that the treatment should be in our amazing healthcare system, not at the hands of a backstreet abortion clinic in a foreign country. I am here today with my husband, who I am sure most of you know fully supports this campaign. And I am here with my 3 beautiful children. But I have been pregnant 4 times. My second pregnancy was sadly an ectopic pregnancy, which resulted in a miscarriage. Had I not had a natural miscarriage, I would have had to have a medical termination in order not to risk death. This was a very difficult time for me and my family. According to the Financial Times, 4 out of 5 terminated pregnancies in England are early medical abortions carried out before 10 weeks gestation. Believe me when I say I am pro-life. I am a very lucky woman. I have a loving husband and a beautiful family who support me. But I live in a reality where I know that not everyone has that support network, which is why we are all here, because we all understand this. And one of the best qualities a human being can have is that of kindness, understanding, and empathy. And when I talk about empathy, I mean real empathy. Actually putting yourself in someone else's shoes. I would like you to think back to when you were 16 years old. Think back to falling asleep in your warm, cozy bed. Imagine that at 2 a.m. your door opens and the person who you're meant to trust in the whole world, your father, walks in, lies on your bed, and then gets on top of you. He sexually assaults you almost every other night. And one day you wake up and you realize you have not had a period for over a week. A pregnancy test result is positive and you have no one to turn to. The seed of your own father is growing inside you. And all you feel is anguish, despair, sickness, and fear. You are so scared. You don't want to have this baby. You have 2 choices. You try to provoke a miscarriage yourself, which would result in life imprisonment for you, or you go to an abortion clinic over the border. Imagine being 30 years old in a long-term relationship. Your partner has been violent towards you again. 3 weeks ago, in one of his attacks, he throws you to the floor and rapes you. Today, you find out you're pregnant. And you cry so much because you cannot imagine raising a child with that man. You cannot imagine bringing an innocent child into a life of fear and abuse. You don't want to have this baby. You have 2 choices. You try to provoke a miscarriage yourself, which would result in life imprisonment for you, or you go to an abortion clinic over the border. And then finally, imagine being 18 years old, with your whole life ahead of you. You're about to go to university and study the career of your dreams. You have your whole life planned out. You are in a 2-month relationship, and you find that the contraceptive pill did not work after that stomach bug you contracted. You are pregnant. You hardly know your partner, and you're not ready to become a mother. You don't want to have this baby. You have 2 choices. You try to provoke a miscarriage yourself, which would result in life imprisonment for you, or you go to an abortion clinic over the border. The anti-choice campaign argue that these 3 women should have no choice but to carry the baby to term and then give it up for adoption. Do they not seem to realize the actual mental and psychological trauma it is for a woman to be forced to carry a baby for 9 months and then give it up for adoption? How can we, as a society, believe that it is acceptable to force girls and women to undergo a full pregnancy against their will? We need to walk in the shoes of these women. Part of the problem is that many people in our community think that these things do not happen in Gibraltar. But I can tell you that they do. They really, really do. And it is heartbreaking. There are some anti-choice campaigners who argue that the law should be changed only in cases of rape and incest. That is just impossible to safely and properly legislate for. Such a law would take us to the other extreme. Women would end up being accused of claiming false cases of rape in order to be able to have an abortion. Never mind the fact that none of the advocates of such a law have dared to put pen to paper to draft one. They know it is impossible, but they insist on arguing it can be done. In the past year and a half, since we have had this debate, no one has been able to produce a law that safely provides for abortion only in cases of rape and incest, because no such law is possible. Gibraltar now needs to step into the 21st century. We need to have a choice law, not because we are pro-abortion, but because we are pro-women, because we want our sisters, daughters and granddaughters to have access to safe medical treatment under all circumstances, be it rape, incest, a medical reason or even a mistake. Could someone regret their abortion? Of course they can. Could abortion be subject to abuse? Of course it can. Do we have to penalize every woman because of the very few? Of course not. We need to trust women. Voting no in this referendum is telling society not to trust us women, that we are not to be trusted with the right of free will over our own bodies, that we are not trusted to do what is right for ourselves. I don't understand how any woman can vote against commencing this law, and I don't understand how any man feels he has a right to vote against commencing this law. Which is why I am urging you to vote yes. Not because abortion is something you would do for yourself, not for some progressive feminist reason, but because you have empathy, because you have compassion, because you can sense her despair, you can sense her fear, because you can walk in her shoes, and because you know that voting yes is the only choice that you can make on Thursday, the 19th of March. Thank you very much.